And when he reopened them, his eyes burned like the smoldering timbers of the big white house.
His eyelids fluttered at the brightness of the still dim dusk.
He had no idea where he was. His head ached so much that he slowed his blinking to alleviate the strain of the effort of the minuscule task. His agape mouth felt drier than the air around him. He didn't bother trying to close it though. The purple sky was bright enough to blur the still but faintly visible stars. He couldn't remember for sure how he had come to rest in the open air. He knew there was a reason, but couldn't conjure any definite recollections of how it had happened. He quickly moved on from that mystery to pondering where he was going. He quickly gave up on that endeavor, realizing that his past would be the only sense of guidance. His thoughts were interrupted by a sharp throb of pain in his brain. The pain grew like a balloon. The pressure pushed on the inside of his skull so strongly that it felt like it would turn his skull into a jigsaw puzzle of broken fragments. The pain was so intense, it squeezed the breath out of his lungs. He took several shallow gasps, and his vision faded. The balloon grew until it felt like its intensification had plateaued. Then, suddenly, unexpectedly, it deflated. His rapid, panicked breaths slowed in accordance with the dissipation of the pain. Unfortunately, after the pain subsided, and the ambient sympathy, his vision was still blurry, and his mouth was still dry. He felt the cold, moist, compact earth pressed against the back of his head. The hard soil only supported sparse clumps of sharp blades of grass. He could hear what seemed to be the trickling of a distant stream. His sense of perspective was so dull he couldn't be sure of his distance from it, though. He rolled his head to get a better perspective on his surroundings. A blade of grass poked sharply into his temple. A shout of pain rang out through his neck when he flinched in reaction to the pain of the grass. The pain shot from just below the base of his skull. It lightened through his shoulders and caused his arm to spasm before it dissipated into his arms, but didn't spread any further upward than just above the base of his skull. His vision blurred more. He heard the distant trickling again. The wind whistled through the nooks and crannies of his ears. A scream seemed to emanate from out of nowhere. The kid tried again to raise his aching head off the ground. This time he braced for the pain. He strained the muscles in his neck as though he was testing the integrity of a branch, and the pain emanated dully. He eased his neck to move, and slowly the pain grew, but not intolerably so. When he turned his neck, he saw to his right a blurry bush with a red splotch at its center. He tried to remain focused on the mysterious redness in the bush, but the strain caused the pain to grow. He maintained his focus until he couldn't bear the strain, and he returned his head to the ground. He thought that maybe the red splotch was a flower, or a berry, or a piece of bloody cloth, or maybe it was a distant red object that just happened to be in line with the bush to make it appear like it was in the bush. Something like a bright red carnival train. As he rested, awaiting the recession of his pain, he refocused his attention on determining the source of the trickling sound. As he carefully raised his head, the pressure of the pain grew proportionately. His breathing sped up and became shallower.
His vision faded.
He was able to lift his head. The sound of the stream grew stronger. As he raised his head enough to see the upper half of his torso, the sound of the stream grew increasingly strong. His arms came into view.
The
The sound grew stronger.
A splash of water jumped into his line of sight,
and he was shocked to find that his fingertips rested only a few inches from the edge of the previously seemingly distant stream. He continued to raise his head, less conscious of the pain and more conscious of the mystery. He saw his legs lazily listing lifelessly in the currents of the stream. The air seemed to leave his body, and he was suddenly unable to hold his head up any longer. His skull felt as fragile as the shell of an egg as it struck the compressed soil below it. As his consciousness slowly faded, he heard a low, strong rumbling coming from under the ground. It seemed to be rising up from the depths of the earth.